and welcome to the conclusion of Series 2, where we've been looking at these principles, essentially, and studying where they fit, what they mean, and what, if anything, we can do with them. So this interesting journey has led us to a point where we're now ready to go into stage 3, but before we do so, I just want to revisit what's happening with these principles and where they all bring the concepts together. Come on, Wordley, if you want to come out, then come out. Let's start then with uncertainty. The uncertainty principle, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, so named after him who invented it, in scientific terms is said to simply express the fact that you cannot measure two aspects of a system at the same time. If you are measuring the speed at which something is going, you can't measure its position, and if you've measured its position, then you can't tell how fast it's going. Trajectory and momentum and all those things come into the equation as well. So essentially what we're saying is that if you can measure one thing, you can't measure the other. That's okay in principle, but what we've looked at in this series is the possibility that uncertainty goes a lot deeper than that. That uncertainty actually stretches into the concept of uniqueness and how everything that is made, created within the universal context, is unique unto itself. We know from our own experience on this planet that that applies to snowflakes and grains of sand, for example. So that's an area that we'll go into further in Series 3. Complementarity. Complementarity was Bohr's concept. Here's an explanation of it. Complementarity is a little bit like uncertainty, only it's recognition of the duality of a system. So, for example, complementarity recognizes that there is the wave function, the wave aspect of a particle's existence, and there is the particle aspect of the particle's existence. You cannot measure both simultaneously because they are complementary to each other. This is a little bit difficult to kind of get your head around, I suppose. It certainly is for me. In terms of, well, if it's both things, then how can we measure one or the other anyway? If it's both things, then why is it not exhibiting both qualities simultaneously? The duality is there permanently, so therefore it seems logical that there must be further exploration into the nature of that duality and how it actually operates within our own systems of existence. Supersystems looks at some of those systems of existence. some aspects of the enormity and the complexity with which our systems on a social level operate. This is mirrored in chemistry and in physics, as we can see from this. The superness of a system, the complexity, the enormity of a system readily can be translated into the social context, as we can see here. This being the case, we have to bring into our equation of self-management some idea of the supersystem and how the supersystem relates to our individual worlds. Because you can look at all the aspects of your personal circumstance in terms of your relationships, where you are, where you live, who you live with, how you do that, how you organise your day, what you have to fit into your day, what your family demands are, what the responsibilities are that you have to meet, work-life balance, etc. Your whole existence, my whole existence, is a supersystem, and getting a handle on how that works and what that actually means, potentially useful in our ability to self-organise the supersystem that we're given to deal with. Singularity, duality. Okay, there we get into further territory that relates to Series 3. And in this context, the singularity has to be looked at in a universal framework, with us as part of that universal framework. So to really get a handle on how far this can go, we have to be able to view ourselves as singularities. Now, physicists might argue with this because there are definitions of singularities that apply in physics that clearly don't apply to human beings or birds or animals or various other things. I'm of a disposition to argue the case for everything being a singularity in its own right, right down to the electron, the photon, the singularity point of existence of an entity is what I'm using as a definition here. And the duality of that comes back down to the complementarity element, that we, as singularities, are existing in more than one state at a time. As singularities, we have a dual mode of existence. One part of us is physical, this stuff that we're made of, and the other part is metaphysical in terms of being self-aware. The word meta on its own means self-aware. So we've got this duality system going on within our own singular context, and that's another element that we're going to look at in more depth in Series 3. There's singularity, duality, dovetailing in with the supersystem that we have to live with, and the complementarity involved in that, and the uncertainty that goes with the whole kit and caboodle of what we're looking at here through the course of Series 2. Superposition is the last on the list. Now, this is obviously the most recent video to have come out of this particular collection. In it, we studied the duality of position that is occupied by everything. If you consider that the wave-particle duality aspect that's so closely studied within physics is a constant form of existence, a mode of existence in two distinct phases of being, then we can extrapolate that to see that a superposition of our own in which we exist would also relate to our physical selves and our mental and or spiritual selves whichever way you want to look at it. In that superposition of our own, we have a bit of a muddle going on, certainly for most of us. There are obviously human beings who are much more advanced in their ways of thinking and being than I am, for sure, and who manage to go through life on something of a magic carpet of serenity and tranquility. But for most of us, it's a bit of a struggle. And for most of us, the problems come from that battleground between our physical environment and our mental or spiritual requirements. So because this constant superposition, juxtaposition problem is occurring, this is naturally the area in which Series 3 can begin. And we will be looking at the metaphysical element, the self-aware element of quantum mechanics and what it relates to in much more depth in Series 3. So I hope you join me for that. It's going to be really exciting to be able to see you and listen to what you have to say and see your comments. How you get involved with this is entirely up to you. There's a Facebook group called Quantumology you can find. We're on Twitter. There are websites. And hey, look us up on. We're there. And your involvement is going to be very welcome and very important to the process as well, because these ideas, these concepts, they're not mine. They're simply there for exploration. This is just information. It's for you to determine what to do with that information and where you might want to take it next. So as with all the Quantumology series, this is an invitation to explore more, to take part in the voyage, in the journey, and see where it leads you and what you can gain from it, because for sure we can gain an awful lot from knowledge and information. That's just the way it is. So anyway, until next time, when Series 3 commences, stay with us, and I'll see you very soon. Have a lovely day. Love you loads. Bye.